Hello, guys, and welcome back to Division 1 SA DPC. We're here casting the wonderful matchup between Balrog and Hokori. Hokori takes the first game of the series pretty convincingly. Their mid-game and late-game decision-making definitely beating Balrogs, but Balrogs still have a chance. And what adjustments would you like to see to the draft, if any, Bowie, to make this chance work out?
Well, first of all, I love that they take that Tidehunter, knowing they have 6-7 on Hokori. I think that Shaman, Undying Tide thing that they play is pretty strong. Apu King of Kings actually tried to copy it, and they lost every single time. But when Hokori plays, it feels really strong. Another thing I would like is maybe I think that Pugna pick, even though I kind of defended it, I just feel like Balrogs being the weaker team, I would like to see them play more to the meta and less to counter. It felt like they were trying to counter that card of the Pugna instead of having a plan of their own. So, just make sure your standing feels happy. I guess Sand King is definitely PP didn't seem to struggle with the Sand King. I'm sorry, Little Boy. But
yeah,
at the
PP
same,
certainly didn't struggle with the
But yeah, I mean, I think they're doing a good job. They already addressed this Tidehunter. Make sure you give a good win condition for Berna. He played pretty well. It's just that the FPL was really, really countered. I think they kind of forced that a little bit too much, feeling like they had the answers.
That's fair. That's true. I mean, when they cover the Titan, the Mars, they can also be covering partially the. Oh no, there's the Sand King. I was gonna say maybe they were trying to force the PL again, but no, immediate Sand King pick. I mean, the hero was good, right? Actually, I didn't ask you this in the panel, but did you agree with the build that he went for? It was more like of an older Sand King build than the newer one with a shard that takes advantage of the snowball potential.
Yeah, he bought Aether, right? I think he bought Blink, Yule, Aether. That was his build?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think the Aether was good, some patches ago. I think they're just better items now. I think the shard is really good. I think the E-Blade is also really good. It just does a lot of damage. So maybe you guys said that he wasn't playing that much, right? Maybe he's just not into the meta, doesn't know these things. But I think the old build, the Aether build, is just not as good as this new one. The shard just does too much damage, and the E-Blade with the Kaya is super good for Sand King. They pick it again though. I thought he played well on the Sand King. And it's basically the same draft, right? I think teams got the same order of picks too. They're on also the same side, so one of the teams, maybe Hokori, because I don't know how exactly what is it, coin toss, or do they get to choose? Is the team that loses choosing?
Well, it's coin toss first, and then they switch.
Do you know who won the first one?
I do not know.
I think the order is not the same, right? I think Hokori didn't have 6-7. They had 5-8 in the first one.
Oh yeah, that's true. They picked Pugna. Yeah, that's true. They were first pick. They do pick the same heroes though. They're gonna pick Pugna now.
Please no.
I mean, now it's like a Bloodseeker, right? You could potentially come to the Pango or Great Stroke or whatever. You could actually really disable analog.
Storm Spirit.
Or the Storm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say I don't think they want to pick Bloodseeker like this. I don't think you want to pick your carry this early.
Sure.
Because even Bloodseeker, he's not the best carry in the meta. I don't think he can play against anything. If he was super OP, maybe sure. But I think the Storm pick's a lot better. It makes a lot more sense. Banning the Anti-Mage instantly, right? The best hero against both these cores. And it's pretty good. It's pretty free Storm game. Coddle doesn't really do anything in Storm. He catches the Coddle the whole game. He has a free lane against Pango. And last game, Hokori banned this hero's second phase when they picked the Pango. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure if I've seen RoboZ play Storm yet, but I'm sure he can play it.
One thing that kind of stood up to me is if they actually run this Pangolier as an offlaner this time, maybe trying to abuse the Storm lane a little bit more. Batrider I think is a decent combo with Coddle. Has I guess it's not as good as it was against Storm, but I think it's still pretty effective. We saw Quap being played versus Storm to pretty good avail as well. I wonder if they'll try and give Analog a better matchup and just kind of not sack the Pangolier, but not play mid.
Right, because the Storm doesn't actually counter the Pango; it just counters him in the mid lane, right? So if you play him off lane, you're still fine, right, Bowie?
I think the Storm, what the Storm does is something we saw in yesterday's series, where if you have a Storm plus another hero follow-up, any hero on Hokori could be dead. And I think this Pangolier usually likes to play very aggressively just because he has a save He has 2 saves on the Swashbuckle and the Rolling Thunder, and I think he could die a little bit too much with no saves. So Hokori, they would either have to draft some sort of save so that the Pango can play with that hero, or else I would like to see something different in the mid lane. But we'll see what they do. I think the bans on Balrogs are on point. Puck definitely hero analog plays. Anti-Mage just because it's a good lane versus Sand King and it's good versus Storm. And the Ember just good with Kotter in general.
I pick up an Ogre for Hokori as well. That's one of Gareth's favorite heroes as well. The lane winner that Lelis was talking about in the position 5, in addition to a buffer for whatever carry Yuma wants to play, which really opens up the pool for Yuma here. What carries do you think would be pretty suitable here?
I would say they probably want to pick like a range hero, especially with Ogre and Bloodlust. But they're gonna be able to see the lane, right? So they're just probably gonna pick the best thing. So it's the Medusa's open, the Luna's open. I know they like to play Luna a lot. Very strong hero with Ogre. They have like so many options. He also plays Morphling, right? Morphling's very good against Sand King too. Yeah, so I think Hokori's opener is pretty good. They're flexing this Pango to off lane and mid. They have both their supports, very meta supports, and I feel like they don't really have anything that's stopping them from maybe picking a hero. Maybe it's only the Coddle, but I think their draft's pretty solid.
So what are some of the fours then, that if you know that you're going to be commenting in, like, say, a buffer, like the Ogre plus whatever, right? What are some of the fours that Balrog could do to take advantage of this idea? Could they at all? Or do they just try to draft a strong lane with Sand King?
They could put the Bane with the Sand King. I think it's a pretty strong lane to match the Ogre. It's something that a lot of teams do. They just put the stronger support with the Sand King because he's such a weak laner, just to make sure he goes through that. But I feel like Balrog's just gonna play this Bane 5, and they're gonna pick their 4 now. I think it's ZXCA. He plays a lot of Hoodwink, but that was banned first phase by Hokori, and they took the Coddle. I'm not sure if they're gonna go for Mirana again.
Ooh.
Clock 5 then, right? I think the Clock Sand King lane is pretty garbage.
Yeah, hopefully it's a 5 clock.
I mean, that seems like what is the reason behind the clock pick? I don't really see it. Is it good against Coddle? Is that what they're thinking? I mean, it is.
Yeah, I think it allows you to... First of all, Clock is... you don't really fear the Coddle, so you can scout his stacks that he'll probably be doing as a Clock 5 specifically versus the Coddle 4. If it is Coddle 4, there's always can be played mid, but I don't think Analog has played it yet. It's long. It kind of plays well with what they already have. Long range initiation on the Sand King and the Storm. I think it's just another layer of being able to burst whatever it is the Hokori throws at them. They have no saves with this Ogre pick. They pretty much cannot go for another save. The only option is actually the Wraith King having 2 lives, which I don't mind again for Hokori. I think would be maybe an even better Wraith King game just because they're still relying on this burst on the side of Balrogs. They're kind of one-dimensional in the way that their damage and initiation works.
Of pain.
So Hokori does not pick the K, but they do go for your suggestion, Bowie, of the Queen of Pain. How free a Queen of Pain game is now that they picked the Clock 5 as well?
I mean, it really depends how the co-op game, the lane goes. I feel like if the co-op suffers, it's a pretty trash game. You have, early Sand King Blink with Storm initiating, co-op with no items, very squishy, no levels. But if she gets a good game, then this Clock is useless. There's no reach on the Bane to actually get on top of her. So I think the lane was going to dictate that. I think it is a favorable co-op lane, and it's Analog versus RoboZ, so I would give him the advantage in terms of raw skill as well. And they take the Morphling Lelis talked about. I think it would be a really good Morphling game.
I mean, they have a lot of options, right, for Hokori for the carry. That's why they probably don't really care to leave it to last pick. Whatever gets banned, they just pick something else, as long as it's ranged.
Yeah, I mean, they already banned 2 heroes for mid. It is kind of weird, though, because they are showing the Pango being off lane, so then Balrog gets like a free counter pick. But they probably think that too many good heroes are going to be banned, right? They're not going to have a mid hero that's good against Storm, so they just have to pick the co-op now. Like, that's the logic behind it. It's a little bit sad that you're going to get 2 extra carries banned, right? That were probably good for the game. But maybe they feel like there's way too many carries in the pool they can pick. So there's a Bloodseeker ban for the Pango. Standard stuff. Very strong lane with the Bane. Let's see what Berna is going to play this time. He's a Mega Ricer. Medusa's banned. AM is banned.
I guess he could run Luna himself, right?
I like the Luna. I think it's probably the best
No
option they
buffs for
have.
Luna though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be rough. Maybe they just take the Luna because they think Hokori wants it. And they're like, nah, we're just gonna take it so you don't get it.
I mean, it's like, what other carries are even left as well for Balrog? I don't see a carry that's like good here.
The problem is if you go Luna, even though it's not like the greatest, like there's a lot of Terrorblade counters on the side of Balrogs, I feel like Hokori can just go Terrorblade. Sure, there's a Sand King, sure there's a Storm, but you have an Ogre. If you buy enough time, they also have Caudle, right, with the Metamorphosis cooldown reduction.
It's okay, boy. It's okay, but you gotta. It's okay. They picked it. You can die. You can let it die. Sorry.
No. I'm saying Terrorblade for Hokori. It's a good matchup. They're gonna go Luna on Balrog, so you get Terrorblade for Hokori. That's what I meant.
I mean, do you say that because you think the Storm and Sand King are not good enough counters, or do you say that because last game it felt like they didn't have the impact that you'd expect from offlane and mid?
I just feel like Hokori is the better team, and they'll create enough space for this Terrorblade farm. I don't think they're gonna hit their timings as much. And also you have the Scotto. I think it's just as the game goes on, reducing the cooldown of well, they go CK, but still pretty similar thing. I'm going all Hokori, man. I think they'll the matchup's the same. Like the CK hero, like melee heroes versus Luna is always really good for the melee heroes, and you have an Ogre. It's looking good for them.
What about you, Lilith?
I'm gonna go with Hokori for them being the better team. I'm not exactly sure how this Pangolier lane is gonna go though. It looks pretty weak. I think Luna can crush this lane. I think Berna has crushed lanes. I forgot what it was against. He was also playing Luna. Was it against Pango? I don't remember. It was a game we casted before. But I think this lane can be very exploitable. But I'll go with Hokori just for them being the better team. I think the CK matchup against Luna is pretty good for CK. It's only the Sand King factor. Will Sand King be able to stop the CK illusions in the fights?
We're gonna have to see. As we go into game 2, I can't make the joke now because Gareth said it. We go into game 2 between Hokori, between Hokori
so
and
sad,
Balrogs, and our casters. No, our casters are Gareth and I'm a plus. Stop production. I felt there like I have a million voices in my head that tell me.
Well, you did. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
There's like 15 producers, and none of them are my real producer, right? There's all the other casters that decided to come in. So, are you agreeing with the panel, Gareth? Do you also think that it's very Hokori favored?
Yeah, I mean, looking at game 1, looking at the drive they've got right, just mentioning again, this is their chance to keep their hopes of the major alive. Balrog's yet to win a series and then been looking shaky. You know, Lelis again pointing out that their kind of mid-game decision-making has always been hesitant and a bit sloppy from time to time. I also worry and wonder about this Pango Cotter lane because it's a Luna Bane, right? Bane, that lane dominator with Berna's Luna. Could be a little bit scary coming out of that safe lane, but everything else makes up for it. The Queen of Pain, the CK in that matchup against Luna in the 1-to-1 for the carries. Yeah, I'm going Hokori again.
I also feel like Balrogs have been a little bit figured out. Lelis likes to call Berna Mega Reister. I think that was the word. Just Mega Farmer, which is a term that Lelis brought into this panel. Thank you for that, Lelis.
Had you never heard that before?
No, actually, I heard it from him first.
Interesting.
Do you know where it comes from?
I don't remember exactly where it came from, but it's like an old like Dota 1 term where like you are literally like a farmer. I think we can talk about it later. I think I know where it comes from. It might have interesting etymology, but it's definitely one of those things where you like to hit creeps and you're just farming the entire game.
Sure, and I think that we kind of saw that last game, right? Where I mean, yeah, I can blame the puck because I don't like the hero, but I also felt like Little Boy and Robo that just kind of take a back position, right? At one point they just let Berna do his thing and they trust Berna to carry them, and as long as they have a good core-to-core matchup, what is there to worry about Berna? Which is what they did here with the CK, right? And there's where the Storm really needs to come into play. He does have a bad lane though. I don't know. It's either Berna or nothing to me for Balrogs, and I don't feel like Berna has the perfect game. Maybe early, yeah, but afterwards he should get countered by the CK.
Yeah, and then you've got to think about Little Boy, and his performance game one was pretty good, but there were a couple of moments where you're thinking that could have been better. That could have been the perfect initiation. He's whiffed his stun, or he's missed out in these key fights, and he is again the majority of their team fight and their catching ability on that Sand King. Hokori all smoked up, and yeah, Balrog's also going to smoke out that top tier 2. Interesting. Who are they looking to catch up there? Because there's nobody. Maybe they think like, oh, Keeper of the Light's going to come up here. He likes to run up here and place a ward somewhere. Maybe block our small camp or something like that. But they're actually going to move into Radiant Triangle. Yeah, pinging out that high ground ward spot as well.
And both teams had a similar idea, actually, it seems like.
I'm also not sure how I feel about Clock 4. Like, I felt that hero the past 2 years has gone from like position 3 to position 4 to position 5. Because it's like, he can't farm. You don't really want to be giving him farm priority. He's a hook shot, go in and die kind of guy. We'll see.
I feel awful about this. I feel awful about that lane. It feels like they were like, oh, Pango Coddle's a bad lane. We should probably even this out, right? And pick ourselves a terrible lane like Sand King Clock.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not great.
Against Ogre, right? Ogre CK. And what are you meant to do there?
Leave the lane.
There's no way that lane. Yeah, yeah, honestly.
Just go mid. I think that's what he's going to do. I mean, we saw it in game 1, right? Like 3v3 or 4v3 mid. There were 7 heroes around 6 minutes. Securing runes. Playing in that mid lane. Probably going to be the same again.
Sorry to cut you here, guys. What happened here? How did Hokori get 3 runes? What was this smoke play?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Balrog's overthinking again. Like they're like, okay, we're going to smoke and move here, try and catch the Kotl. Oh, Kotl's not here. Okay, we're going to go triangle and high ground ward. And then what? Guard the runes? No, we're scared that they're going to be better at us in these early engagements, so we run away.
Maybe a tri-lane, apparently?
Yeah. All right. Ogre, Kotl, Pango. That's one way to make up for the potential poor laning stage for the Pango keeper. And bullying the Bane early on. Pressing that wave onto tier 1 early. That leaves CK against Sand King Clock level 1. He doesn't care, right? Yuma just plays inside the creep wave and then Battery Assault does nothing. Like, Clock hasn't even leveled a skill yet.
He's like, well, it's the same thing if I do or not, right? I'm not going to use them either way. Maybe Cogs is even better level 1.
It's kind of nice. They must have planned this as well, because they did block large camp bottom with Sentry. So they can't pull large camp as Dire. So Kotl makes his own lane, drags the wave. Ogre and Pango bully the Luna and the Bane.
Yep.
Theolicor's like, yes, give me creeps. And now they move Gardic bottom, where Yuma is still 6-1 and kind of untouched. That's just like wins all around for Hokori, right?
Yep. I do think that's the better move as well. Like, if they stay at the tri-lane, I was going to comment on how Pango in tri-lanes hates life. So this is much better. Now they still got the advantage they wanted in the early game, harassed the Luna a little bit, and managed to get some farm for Yuma now. Oh, look at that deny by ZXCA. It's the best thing to do all lane.
All game. Maybe he'll land a hook shot, but yeah, I'm not holding out hope for a 4 o'clock. Maybe some magical stuff can happen.
The hate in this panel for the clock has been increasing as the days went on.
Lacosta's rubbed off on me. Like, for a solid 3 years, he hated Clockwork in anything other than a position 5 role.
Right. I agree with him, actually. Like, I don't see the purpose you said of the Clock 4, because he isn't farm, as you mentioned. Let alone a Clock off lane. Oh my god, please don't ever do that. And I do feel like most of the lane partners for Clock that are good are carries, not really offlaners.
It's like, when it's in the hands of like Schofield, for example, it looks good because he has that very... Oh, are they going to kill Clock? No, Yuma didn't have mana, got mangoed a bit too late. Because he just goes and plants himself in enemy territory. And he's like, I'm a Clockwork standing in your triangle. Kill me and come here as like 3 heroes. Or, I'm going to be setting up potential wards and smokes and movements in here. Then he also is that... they've got that position 1 K1 just farming away while he's doing that.
The famous phrase for Schofield in an interview he said a long time ago that everyone quotes is the I don't adapt to the meta. The meta adapts to me, right? He said that. And I think the clock is a really good example of this, because when I see Schofield play, I go, I don't know how he sees Dota. Like, I don't get his understanding of Dota, but he just does it well, right? And we kind of see that with a Clockwork, where him not dying, him saving a bunch of space, all this stuff is amazing. But no other team in the world plays like Schofield.
Yeah,
player ever.
I don't have enough fingers on my hands to count how many times I've said internally or like on a cast, why is Schofield here? Like, what is he? And then burner. It's a lot of damage from Theo and Vitali. But then realizing, oh, he's here because he wants to draw attention. Like, he is just that you know, the matador waving the red flag at a bull, saying, you know, come at me. Ignore those people over there. K1's farming. Just look at me.
You know, the best part of that I always like selling is that that's the same thing Beast Ghost tells him, because Schofield does not speak in games, rarely, right? He's kind of a mute. It's the joke they make, and halfway through they realize, wait, Schofield's in the enemy territory. What are you doing, Schofield? Come back, Schofield.
Oh, he's a madman.
It's very good. Yeah.
Well, every lane
I don't
going
think CXCA has that playstyle though.
superbly for Hokori.
Yep.
13...
Even the Pango lane, man.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Queen of Pain's denies going up and up. 27-14 against the Storm's 10-1. I knew it was Quap favored, but I didn't think it was this bad for Storm. He's getting handled.
Yeah. I would agree with you. Usually the Quap actually has struggles a bit in the very beginning, right? Because Storm has really good base stats and stuff. But the rotation as well early from Licor kind of stopped that. They actually rotated for the 2-minute water room, which was amazing. And that made it so Amlock could completely dominate the lane. More support should do that, by the way. If you have a lane dominator like Queen of Pain or like Viper or whatever, your support is allowed to rotate that early so that lane domination feels impactful.
They've got the Ogre. They're doing big damage to Gardic. They trapped him in the cogs. The battery assault. CK can't save him. Yuma tries to get some damage back, but they won't claim a kill. So first blood for the clock. I stand firmly corrected. He did something.
Yeah. No, it's not bad. They even got it right before Sexy Yogi died as well, who was about to feed there, so well done. Obviously now he can scale and he can get his valuable item of the Yule Scepter.
What?
That's a really weird build.
Pluck.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what he's going for.
Tranquil's Yules. Okay. We'll see if he finishes that. He's going to try and fight the Ogre again. Go on. So Gardic is just going around like sentrying camps. He blocked the mid small camp, now the large camp in the triangle. He's causing some serious problems for them. And yeah, you're right. Theo has just been like sat mid. He's just blasting into mid. Level 6 Queen of Pain. 3-1-2. No point in the ultimate, so Storm is able just to walk it back.
No, Pango's a very mid kind of offlane, right? If you let me use that weeb terminology, he's very, very mid there. If you really go with him, he doesn't have the best lane, and if you don't go with him, he also doesn't suffer too much because he can always recover. So I think putting the coddle mid, it was a much better use of the Licor's time.
So he's not dank enough.
No, exactly. Yes, that escapes me. I don't know where that from.
What?
I've never used that term before, Gareth. I don't know what you're consuming here. I'm not sure.
Wait, what did you say about terminology? You said mid as a weeb terminology or a weed terminology?
Yeah. No, weeb.
Weeb with a B.
Weeb, you savage.
What?
Is it not? That's where I first heard it from.
I still don't understand. Weeb with a B or weed with a D?
With a B for
with
anime.
A B?
Like manga and anime.
Really?
Yeah. Is that not where it comes from?
I've only ever heard it when you're talking about illicit substances.
I love that you went with it immediately, by the way. You didn't even doubt it. That was amazing.
Oh, what have I done? See, look, even Bowie in chat, oh, yeah, I don't know about that, Arvo.
Oh, maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. I only heard it from anime. I guess that shows that I'm a true nerd, Gareth. That's
apparently so. Oh, Burner's found in the forest. Kotl was already here, and Analog just jumps over. Nobody to deny him. They are trying to get onto this. Quap and Kotl. Storm's here, and Quap's out of mana. 7-1 charge and a fairy fire, but not enough. Didn't use the wand. Maybe could have got away there with a wand and a blink, but would have been close regardless.
There was a long time ago I was talking to Edlog back when he was on Hokori for the first time, I think, before he got kicked. Out of the 34 times he got kicked. And I remember he telling me that one of his biggest mistakes he was trying to work on was that sometimes he makes a play, and then he wonders, why did I just do this? And then he realizes the consequences, and I think that was a great example of that for Analog, where the play in theory is good because you saw a kill, great, but then you forget that you're really deep into the enemy jungle, you don't really have any wards there just yet, and you just put them one down kind of more towards the mid-tier 1. And you just lost your Queen of Pain for no reason.
It's like that ecstasy, the static. Suddenly, you see this Burner Luna, like 300 HP. Like, go. Yep. Feels so good.
Yep.
Well, Ogre's baited the clockwork. CK getting pushed around a bit by the cogs, but he's offering a lot of damage.
You see him trying to make his way through the cogs, like eventually I'll make it to the trees, guys. Oh, wow, this clock is a riot. No, I feel like the early game looks much worse than last time for Balrogs, and that was the thing that was going for them. I hope Berna can really recover this game with his MOM build. Not a fan of this build either, by the way, for Luna. It kind of forces you to go to the jungle no matter what, as opposed to Dragonlance. Like, if you go MOM, Dragonlance is fine, right? But if you go just MOM first, essentially, Hokori knows they can just hunt you in the jungle, and you can't really respond to them, because this build is very weak for fighting.
And you also can't adapt early on, right? Like, what's Sexy Yogi up to? He's level 4, so there's no grip. Radiant are all converging into this jungle, though. Dire scrambling to think about how they approach this fight. Stun on Storm, but he's got tons of mana and an Invis rune. So yeah, they turn on the Clockwork as a freebie instead. And that'll be that. But yeah, the Luna build, like, okay, you can disassemble Mask into Satanic Butterfly later on. You know, we're talking 30, 35 odd minutes into the game. A Dragonlance, you always have that potential to get a fast BKB.
Yes. I love that you mentioned that, because that's actually one of the crucial parts of it, especially in the faster metagame that we heard right now.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we're losing fights. And, oh, with the Nightmare switch over. Storm's still invis. Sexy Yogi finds the high ground, but he's sent straight back down again.
I'll be honest, Gareth, I did not know that you switched over Nightmare, you would stay invis like that. That was,
yeah, me neither.
today I learned.
So I guess you don't fire a projectile on your ally.
Yeah.
So you don't actually right-click, right? You don't actually...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. There's always things to learn.
Play. Yeah, I know. Dota's wonderful, but that play was really questionable. Nightmare into Ogre. Like, you just don't kill Ogre at 10 minutes in. He tanks ganks, and you actually don't try to go for him unless you have your whole team there or an overwhelming amount of damage. Luckily this time, though, Little Boy, or I'm hoping Little Boy will go for a more impactful build. But Roboteta, once again, got a little bit cancelled, and you need Little Boy to pick up that slack. You cannot let another game where it's Berna versus 5.
Yeah, like Storm is behind the Pango in net worth. Radiant have already taken top tier 1. So I guess Little Boy's job now is to hold out on top lane, get the 200 gold he needs from Blink somewhere. And then they have to go and really, really set up these team fights. You've got 6 on clock, so you've got Hookshot, you'll have Blink Epicenter. And that should, theoretically, unlock this Storm to be able to actually get in and get out without dying.
That's another reason why I, by the way, don't like the clock at all as a 4, is that ever since, I think around Animator was when this started to change, the offlaner has been more of the guy who sets up the stun for the most part, and the 4 brings a lot of damage, and clock doesn't bring that. So you have a stun at the Sand King, but the damage is also the Sand King, so what does the clock do? What's your hunting squad here for Balrogs? It's kind of lackluster.
Yeah, at some points you'd like wish that was a 4 leaner or something.
Yeah, Hoodwink, you know, something like that.
Hoodwink's a good
Willow.
one. Yeah, some kind
Once
of
the
partnership.
DK offlane became like a thing, I think people started realizing that 4 carrying damage was better. Even Coddle deals more damage than fuck, honestly. God, I hate this hero.
Nice bounty denied by the last second of that Phantasm of CK. Yeah. I think they've also got a good idea that this smoke is coming. So yeah, the Blink on Sand King is going to get revealed. Blink Epi, jump in, allows the Storm to find the kill. Vatel is Pango dead for 30 seconds. Probably one of the better outcomes for Hokori, though. Like, now, now they've shown this smoke, now they've shown that they've played forward with the Sand King. So this tier 1 mid could actually just get pushed by a 4 or 5 man group up. If they want to.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think that if you're Hokori, you're pretty chill, because you have the good core-to-core matchup, you know you can just keep on farming on CK. I'm interested in what that Blitz Knuckles going to be, actually. What is that Blitz Knuckles for?
On the CK?
I mean, it's a good item, actually.
Shadow. I mean, it must be Shadow Blade, right? Like he doesn't need.
It must be.
Doesn't need MKB. We've been seeing Orchid, get bought on here, Kunkka, for example, right? That's the strength hero, gives you damage, gives you silence against a storm. Makes sense. Maybe that's what he thought. Like, I want to go Orchid, and he's like, no, I want BKB. But who knows? Get him for the interview if they win.
Later.
Just to ask him that one question. Little boy starts with a stun on the Ogre, though. The target you don't really want to be getting, but the grip is good on Vitaly. Holding the Pango in place, so the right-click damage is just not coming through fast enough from RoboZ, though. A little boy also backing away. And there's the group onto the tier 1 mid. Like, knowing the Epicenter's on cooldown just gives such a massive opening to Hokori here to dive in onto Sexy Yogi now, and they hit 3 with a Sonic Wave. Or if they knew that Sanking and Storm were behind, they'd probably jump in and dive even deeper.
They just dusted Little Boy as well. Get out of my territory. We're going to take the tower. You know, on the... Oh. Was it done? No. He tried to go for the rune a bit too early there.
He doesn't get it either.
On the point of the interview, Gareth, we're actually going to get Vitali, by the way. And
okay.
I'll tell you why. Every single time that Hokori plays, they're a CEO. He's a really good guy, the way we talk occasionally. You know, he's really invested into his team. Lovely person to support. And he always sends me a message, goes, can we get an interview if we win? And I go, guys, this is how the format is set up. You're 100% getting one if you win. I'm going to ask you for this. And like, yeah, we would really like one, though. I'm like, okay, sure. Only team that asks for interviews in the whole essay.
Give interview, please. Heavy commitment on the Ogre, yet again. Sexy Yogi trying to snipe out the courier. Got some wards down, but it's immediately dewarded by the Kotl. So you trade out position 5 for 5. Not too bad. Holding out Epicenter, so Little Boy can sit at this tier 1 and defend it if Hokori come. It just feels like the game is... I guess it's one of these kind of classic Luna games, right? It's slipping, it's slipping, it's slipping. Then 25 minutes in, they're hoping Burner will be ready to 1v5.
Exactly, that's what I mean. What a terrible predicament you find yourself in, where it's once again Berna having to overcome a bad core-to-core matchup, in addition to, honestly, not even the best pick here. Just to carry his team was had no impact. Robofita just needs to get online.
And
Little Boy also going for this build again, the Yule Scepter build. I don't know, man. I feel like he's just an initiator here. And Clock is also the same thing. You have so much initiation, so much catch, not enough damage, not enough scaling.
It's like, where's the travels? Where's the shard? What Lelis was talking about, the E-Blade as well to offer that additional damage. Look at Hokori.
E-Blade's so good this game.
Just ready to go tower after tower. They claim mid, they move bot, and Little Boy... I think really should have just... he wants to push out these waves, but he's also going to be ready to fight. He's in the trees and he's channeling Epicenter. ZXC, he's out of the cogs and dead, but the Epicenter into Burrow just doesn't come. Her grip on Quap cancelled immediately, and the Rolling Thunder crashes onto the Burner Luna, stopping him in his tracks, but they've killed Analog. The big Quap kill there, important for the Balrogs. It's Vitaly. He's trying to find that little bit more. Analog kills Sexy Yogi from the grave, so I'm guessing the Shadow Strike ticked him down. But yeah, 3 for 1, just not what you want.
I'll be honest, I think that was probably Berna's call to go and fight there because it was TP on time. But I don't think he expected Little Boy to initiate like that with the honestly just wasted Epicenter, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? So it comes back to your point about the clock. We've been railing on this Clockwork, right? But imagine that Clockwork is a Kotl or a Lina or a Grim. That position 4 hero would be the one that's clearing bot wave. But because he can't do that, Sanking has to sandstorm the bot wave. So then Sanking's not in the fog ready to jump. And he's the one that gets jumped on.
That's a very good point, actually. And, you know, if it wasn't paired with a Bane, like if you pair with like a 5 Hoodwink or whatever, or a 5 Weaver that can cut lanes, okay, sure. But you have 2 heroes that do the same thing. So who's cutting waves? Look at him. He's battery salting the wave. That's the desperation that we're getting to for Balrogs.
He's got to. Someone's got to do it. Yeah, like Little Boy, where he's standing now, that's where he ideally would have wanted to be when that fight broke out. Like hiding behind the tier 1, behind the trees, ready to go. He might... Oh, Theo! Oh!
It's nighttime, Gareth, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you get blindness.
Needs the rocket flare.
CK has rocket flare. Okay, guys, they're doing Roche. Good. Thumbs up. Yuma has BKB, by the way, so now the initiation becomes much harder.
I mean, at this point, he should have just gone, you know. He's probably having the same thought, like, if I'm dead anyway, I probably should have just gone in and tried.
Right. I'm starting to feel bad because we've been railing on this here. I don't even think it's his fault.
No,
but to be honest,
it's just the hero.
I've seen there's like a lot of Clock 4 players in SA, right? We have Moose, right, from Lava, Matthew, Schofield, and I have seen a relatively lackluster performance from CXCA. But it's not surprising for a guy who spams Scuttle. Like, he seems to be the range kind of offlaner guy, or 4 guy, and the Clock just seems a bit lost. Matthew would have had more impact even on this hero, despite the fact that the hero's still weak.
CK's got that Orchid queued. That's another way to deal with a storm. I mean, even just getting solo kills and supports if they show. Big smoke from Balrog's BKB DD on Luna. This could be it. Pivotal move for them as they hookshot Burrow. Kill off the Hokori immediately. Vitaly's rolling thunder, though, looking pretty good to zone them away. And they've got the Queen of Pain out of there. She Sonic Waves back onto Robo Z, who ball lightning's in. He's low mana, but he's got the backup of Little Boy. Now Yuma left alone. Burner's DD still going. The stuns from Gardic. Can they hold Yuma in this fight with his BKB up? He's life stealing and critting. Oh, he's annihilating them. Yuma is 1v5ing at this point now. Nightmare's up. Gardic taking off him. Vitaly and Yuma getting on top of the Bane. Give him the ultra kill. Vitaly, no.
Tip him as well afterwards. Get the ultra kill, tip him right after. Really well played by Hokori. I honestly gotta give kudos to Berna, though. I think that fight was pretty well taken by him. You know, he positioned himself correctly. Even though the team fight started in the low ground, he managed to correct that immediately. Good eclipse, good timing in the BKB, almost killed the Pango roll. Well done. But he's kind of fighting solo. You don't have a team to back you up, whereas Yuma has the stuns of the Ogre, which lasts until the end of the team fight. He had the Pango roll from the beginning. It's very different.
Okay, he cancelled TP. He was trying to get in there. It's also indicative of what Balrogs have had troubles with in previous games and series. It's that decision making. You know, usually we talk about it in terms of kind of sweeping moves and overall map positioning and decision making, but this was more of a team fight target acquisition decision making, right? Because you saw the Storm, Bane, and Sand King all heavily commit to kill the Queen of Pain, and then Luna is there, you know, 1v4 against the rest of Hokori. And once you spend, you know, you bust all of your mana, all of your cooldowns on killing Quab, you have nothing to deal with the CK anymore. And Luna,
exactly.
Luna just can't stand up against it.
To Luna.
Yeah.
So imagine if that was difficult for them. Now with that double damage, how do you win a fight, right? He's going for Butterfly, which is actually a pretty clever idea. Butterfly Satanic, right? Try to do play the Luna timings to its utmost efficiency.
Yeah. I mean, once you go Mom, you kind of pigeonhole yourself into this. Burner gonna have to BKB, maybe? He doesn't have TP, but it looks like ZXCA gonna be there to save the day with his hookshot cogs. Sacrifice himself for the greater good. They also lose the Bane in the triangle. Analog and Vitaly actually spreading from the rest of the team to find the second support.
Not to keep railing on the clock, but I do feel like Little Boy's Sanking would have had a much easier time if he probably had some sort of ganking squad to go with. You usually pair Sanking with like Mirana or Hoodwink or whatever in other regions. And I feel like we haven't really seen a single hunt by Little Boy this game. No smokes.
Well, here's one. But it's a CK. Yeah, look at his TP's out. No, I'm not doing this. Little Boy, you can go cut the wave behind him, but we are not fighting that Chaos Knight right now.
It's like Berna heard you, just for dramatic irony, decided to leave the moment you said, here's one.
Here's one? Nah, never mind. There's creeps top to be had. This is where you just lose all of your outer towers, right? Tier 2s die. CK has Aegis for 45 seconds. That's plenty of time to get bottom lane and get in position for mid.
And CK's not going for Orca anymore. He's like, I'm just gonna go hard. I don't think they can kill me, and I think that's the right play.
Oh wow. So the casual blitz knuckles.
Someone mentioned chat that Samael's been doing that to go into Orchid later, which makes sense. Blitz knuckles is a really good item on CK. So that plus Bloodlust, all of a sudden CK is hitting way too hard, way too early, and something that panel talked about. Luna with no steroids feels kind of lackluster.
Yeah, not in a great spot. And when Luna's second in net worth behind a CK, usually you expect Luna to be that one that is overfarmed and be the one big carry on the map. She's 3 grand behind. Aegis is gone now. I just don't know if that changes anything at all in the game state. Sexy Yogi pinged. Chased by Vitaly. CK is going to come in. Allow for a finish on the Bane. Thanks to Analog. Right, Storm with the regen rune. What's he going to do? Zip across the map. Maybe they'll get top tower. No, that's full HP. Maybe a courier snipe.
Honestly, Gareth, at this point, I'm just happy if he farms, man. Like, I think he's actually slowly recovering. Storm is a hero that scales, right? One of the best scaling mid laners. So he could make up for what Luna lacks in this late game. And he is recovered. He is beating the Pango now, which is a feat of its own. Beating the Quap as well.
That's true.
Soon to get BKB.
It's not in a bad spot. I'm just not sure though with Queen of Pain's BKB. I guess it's about 1,000 away. There's still that timing for Storm to be able to do stuff, but he's going to need a few items after this Kaya Sanj BKB. He's going to need that Aghanim's blessing. Give him that Vortex AoE at the very least.
Yep. I think if you go for the Electric Rave build on Storm, where you go Ags into Shard, right, immediately, and try to just maximize that damage with Luna, it's pretty good. So, hopefully, that's the idea that Rohit is going for, as the XCA dies, but that's normal, it's a call.
Burner is not TPing. Is this BKB going to last long enough?
Calculated.
That was scary.
Did you see he took a moment to compose himself as he went to base? Like, oh my god, I almost died there, guys.
Do they have anything that pierces BKB on Radiant? Am I being dumb here?
I mean, they have the Reality Rift eventually, right? That's it.
But that doesn't cancel TP, does it?
No.
Yeah, so I was just confused why Luna pressed BKB, then ran around for 3 seconds before TPing. A little bit spooked.
Maybe she was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, do they have a basher on CK now or something? Yeah, I guess you're afraid of that always. Nice use of the roll and the Yules there. Very well played by Vitaly. Bane dead. And that allows them to take full control of that triangle yet again. Push out the bot wave.
Love a team of people and also to play Pango, man. It's so exciting to always get the... Like, getting the Rolling Thunder ending into the Shield Crash seems easy, obviously, because pro players make it look that way, but it really isn't consistently. As much as Vitaly and Analog do it. Good Pango player. Always appreciated.
That's nice to watch. I mean, Dire have done a pretty good job not showing anyone on the map for a while. Like, Storm is hiding, Luna's hiding.
Yeah.
But Sand King... What can they find him? Swashbuckle. First sentry down. The ZXCA is there with a hook shot and a Storm roll, but a 3-man hit out of the Rolling Thunder, and Little Boy, he doesn't last long against this Yuma Heart Chaos Knight. 340 damage coming out of that CK, plus the crits. A beast.
I want to point out that that was the roll-up on the Rolling Thunder. And they've done this trick a couple of times. On Analog did this as well. If you allow me to continue gushing on the Pango, which is that they wait for a ranged hero to charge their attack, right? So they can't avoid it, and then they use that as the attack is in the air to use the roll up immediately and get a stun off it. It's crazy hard to be able to pull those things off in team fights, but they're doing this consistently.
That takes a lot of skill, a lot of practice.
You know, Davo discovered the trick, by the way, of the shield crash in place. He was the person to first do it in a competitive game.
Ooh.
And he discovered it with Yules. If you after you Yules, there's a second where you shield crash in place. And Davo, he actually said it in an interview afterwards, like, I didn't know I could do that, and then I figured out this could be abused.
I don't have to move. Get those Rolling Thunders landing in the same place. Well, I mean, we're 27 minutes in. It's desperation time for Balrog. They need something to get out of this rut. just break the tempo of it. Miss the stun, but they've got the grip, thankfully, from Bane. Vitaly out in the open. And as this is 10 seconds before Roche spawns, I just don't know if they can, like, wander into the pit. There's a freaking Harpy Creep scouting pit for Radiant. They've got a buyback on Pango. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we get a kill. We reclaim top third of the map, but we can't push mid or bottom. We've got to stay together.
True, but Storm just hit level 18, right? Which is the lowest cast point on the Ball Lightning. which now means cutting lanes is much easier, right? And Gareth, it might actually happen that we'll see some utility of Clockwork this game. He is 500 gold away from the Ags.
Oh, wow.
And that's the only power spike he has this game.
I'm glad he did this and not the Yules. I'll say that much.
Yes, thank God. That Yules would have been useless.
But I'm pretty sure he's upset there's no Philosopher's Stone for him. Heroes like Clock and Nyx, if they get that Philosopher's Stone, Ags just become so much easier to farm.
Very true.
Wait, did neither team get the stone? That's rare, I think. A rare stoneless game. What's happening? Where's my money rock?
Yeah, Philly, is that what they call it? Right?
That's what Lacoste. Right. Yeah, Lacoste calls it Big Boy Philly.
Big Boy Philly.
Big Boy Philly.
Is that what Lacoste sounds like to you?
Yeah, is that not what it sounds like to you? I'm Lacoste. Big Boy Philly. Hello, burrow in. They've caught Pango, the hook shot across, but the Sonic Wave pushes them all back. Vitali rolls up and thunders away. Robozy's BKB. It's wearing out as this CK drags himself out of the cogs and in towards the Sand King and Luna. Balrogs, they came in to try and fight around the pit, and they just get demolished. Bane is hiding in Shadow Amulet. Sexy Chappie over here is hiding in the ancient camp.
Oh, at least he blocks it, right? They can't stack it with him there. It's probably the best thing he can do right now. Oh, he's going for Dilly Code now?
Yeah. Yeah. And then...
He's a ward now.
I mean, even sentries to make sure there's no high ground ops there.
That play, though, by Balrog is the kind of situation Mitz keeps talking about. Like, you're so far behind, and you should, for sure, items and all much for you to handle. Why are you trying to control at all? Why are you not cutting lane into the game like that?
Yeah,
you're not going to win that fight.
I don't know. I kind of half agree with you. In that kind of situation, when you're 15, 20k net worth behind, the game is all but over. It's like, what other options do you have? Either we take a 5v5 fight now, or we take a 5v5 fight when they reach our base with Aegis and whatever else they've got. And you just don't want CK breaking high ground. Like, it's felt like the game's been over for like 15 minutes, honestly.
It's the E mentality, right? You rather take a 10% chance of winning the game than just letting it slowly lose health.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down with what Sexy Yogi's doing. I'd be doing the same thing. My one job here is to just try and grip the Pango. So I'm going to Shadow Amulet and wait for him to come to me.
Yeah. We didn't even consider, actually, the fact that Bane is a counter to Pango this whole game. It didn't even come into play.
He's done it. He did it once in the mid lane, but that's when they 5-man smoked and Vitali was like by the mid tier, dire tier 2. But yeah, apart from that, I don't think he's landed many.
I mean, there's just so many stuns on the MA team. And silences and stuff, especially the Quap Link. Once that came into play, shard, I mean.
Well, they can try. Give it another shot. Yuma's just way too strong. Way too strong. Clock and Sand King both buy back. They do still have Epicenter. But Clock doesn't have his Aghanim Scepter yet, and Sexy Yogi, he's trapped in the middle of all 5 of these Hokori heroes. It's an ultra kill for Analog, and they're diving tier 4s. Look for the Rampage, go on. Given the Luna, GG's called as Analog picks up his 5th and maybe 6th kill. It's Vitali to take that one in the end. And Storm, where are you? Hiding in the fountain. That one felt much smoother and much simpler for Hokori.
Yep. It did feel like last time I feel like the draft they were kind of comfortable with to a degree. It was the fast draft that they kind of used to play, and they messed up a little bit in mid game, but it was overall pretty good. Their execution in early game tends to be really great. In this game, it just didn't feel that way. I mean, I hate saying it again, but just don't pick Clockwork 4, dude. What do you do this whole game? In general, I also feel like Little Boy's Sanking was a little bit lackluster for all the things that I would expect the Sanking to do. That's not what we call this hero one of the strongest offlaners right now, but he's the stand-in, so it also makes sense that he's not going to be the strongest in the game.
Yeah, you also have the bit of overlap, I think, with Storm and Luna. Like, when you look at the player net worth graph, the fact that CK was #1 spot the entire game, like, at no point was Luna even really close to catching him or overtaking him. Storm and Luna both, after having mediocre laning stages, want that jungle. They want to be able to catch up, accelerate, get to their key items. And if you've got both of them doing it, then a lot of resources are being wasted. It gets very congested there. Yeah, straightforward 2-0 victory for Hokori. I mean, what does that do for their chances for the major? Do you want to take it back to the panel and discuss that, Arvo?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm gonna take this discussion and yank it back to the panel.
Go on, get out.
So I was waiting for confirmation. I'm not looking at the cameras. My bad. We're back. We're back with the panel here. So I was in game there, and yeah. In case you guys don't know, before we talk about the actual game, Hokori now very similar to Lava. They're in very similar positions, right? They have one last game against each other. Whoever wins that game stands a chance to be able to make it to the major. That chance, however, is dependent upon other teams. Either Beast Coast or Thunder Awaken have to lose 2 games for that chance, for them to force tiebreakers and for them to actually go to that major. Unless, because of some teams not being able to attend, some regions get a 3rd slot, Reddit goes up in flames. We would all love that. So Hokori could still have that chance of a miracle, but it is looking a little bit rough for them regardless. However, they do win against Bob is now most likely going down. No,
they are.
They are 100% going to Div 2. Yeah, there's no chance they save themselves from Div 2, unfortunately. So, Balrogs, they're going to have to say goodbye to Div 1. But considering the changes the team had, it does seem like they need to find some stability still. What do you guys think of that game, Lillis? I mean, besides Clockwork Crap, anything else you can give me about Balrogs in that game?
I think the game was mostly just Hokori doing the correct things. I was a little bit concerned about their top lane, if they were going to be crushing the lane, because it was a double range against Pango Coddle, right? And then they started a tri-lane, and the Ogre helped the Coddle pull the second wave. So they did a bunch of small things that were very good, that helped that lane a lot. And since they had a 4 o'clock, they didn't really have to have a dual lane from the start in the safe lane. So Siki got solo XP, and they made sure they didn't get crushed in the off lane. Analog won his lane mid because he got the counter pick, and they invaded jungle early, killed the Luna in the jungle, did all these small rotations to make sure they were ahead during the game. They got the Roches, they just did everything right, and Barrows didn't really have a comeback mechanism. I feel like the Sand King Blink wasn't impactful enough. And the Storm just didn't ever get to play. He was just way too low net worth after the laning phase.
What did you think as well of... can we talk about how Balrogs have to change offlane every single game? Do you feel like that's affecting their mojo a little bit of this fast tempo they used to have? They felt just a little bit tame these 2 games. Do you think that has to do a little bit with having to play with a different standard every time?
I mean, for sure. I think the offlane is one of the roles that it makes up the tempo of the team. And if the player that is playing the offlane doesn't talk, he's not very active, it can change the team dynamic a lot, when they're playing with Tavo, it looked like they were a different team, right? So Tavo's probably a lot more experienced. He probably talks a lot more, what he wants to do, what they should do. Not flaming little boy or any means, but it's just not the same thing, probably. He's probably not that experienced. He hasn't even been playing that much, right? As we said, he's been studying. So it probably takes a really big toll on the team. And it just kind of sucks, right? They're playing against the best in the region, and it's not going to be easy. You can't have these roster changes and just expect to just casually win against these teams, right? These are the better teams.
Bowie, about Hokori though, how did you like their initial moves and their strategies? Like the tri-lane top, for example, were you a fan of those ideas that Hokori keeps running each game?
Yeah, they've been trying a lot. I think they do a good job at that. I also was a pretty big fan, now that the Ogre shard is broken and no one seems to really care about to fix it. The Ogre doesn't buy it. Actually got the Helm of the Dom. Really good versus Storm.
He did buy it in the end, though.
Oh, he got it at the end? Yeah. But having the Harpy there to protect Roche in the second attempt, I think was key. They were able, even though there was a pretty good smoke from Balrogs, they had the RP in position. So it was pretty good to counter-initiate. Obviously, they were pretty far ahead. But if the game was more even, I think we could have seen the impact of that item. And I mean, Hokori, I think they're looking good. They kind of rely on either whoever loses in Biscos or Standard to also lose the other series, right? I'm not sure which team is more likely to... both probabilities seem pretty low, but it would be nice if there was maybe a tiebreaker for Lava and Hokori to fight it off.
I mean, imagine the ideal situation would be that they both lose their next series, right? And then Beast Coast and Thunder, no matter who loses, that's a tiebreaker. That's what Hokori is kind of hoping for right now. But it does seem like a tall order. Beast Coast is the next match that we're gonna have today. By the way, it's gonna be in an hour though. and they are playing against Infamous, so they do have a chance to lose there. Before we go into the rather longer break, we do have an interview with the offlaner from Hokori who asked to be here, Vitaly. So let's go and talk. Okay, Vitaly, si puedes intentar... Bueno, ahora te ayudo. Vamos a tomar un pequeño descanso y te ayudo. We're going to take a small break, and I'll try to help him get his mic set up. Sorry for that, guys. These things happen. Production remotely is out of our control. So we'll be back in like a minute or so with Vitaly speaking now. And otherwise, we'll do the interview with hand signals. It's fine. I've done this before in the SCA broadcast. So see you guys soon. Well, when you get an hour break, I try to go for an hour interview, but at some point I feel bad for the player, so you have to let him go. Vitaly, up and coming offlaners. I know, Lelis, you've been quite the fan of this guy. Have you been pretty satisfied with his growth over like seeing Hokori in Div 2 and now seeing him now?
Yeah, I think he's one of the better offlaners. He's grown a lot as a player. He's been one that's been on my radar for a while. I think he's pretty decent, pretty good.
I've heard this. About pro players, they'll add each other on Steam so you guys can check each other's replays. Is that true? So you can learn off each other?
Yeah, I mean, we just add each other so we can just see what everybody else is playing. Because nowadays, you also talk to people and ask them what they think sometimes. It's not that common these days, but you can just see what everybody else is playing on a website, right? So there's no point in not adding people. Like, you can just... Before there's like this secrecy, right? You wouldn't add people, but nowadays, like, you just check what they're playing on a website, so why not add each other, right? It just makes it easier.
Sure, that's true. You mean Dota Buff or the Dota Pro tracker, which manages to find every alt account?
Yeah, I mean, the tracker has every account, right? Almost.
Yeah.
You can't escape from it.
that killed all secrecy for players. Do you like that, by the way? Do you think that the secrecy was a nice part of the Dota, like surprising people with picks, or do you like that Dota is like advancing faster now as a result?
I mean, I think the secrecy was nice, but I also think that if everybody has access to the same information, it just means that the better team will win, right? Because everybody can use it, so just use it the best way possible, and the best team will win.
A question on that, which I think you're one of the unique people. Like, you were between two worlds, right? You both knew the North American English, were part of that community, but also in Chile they couldn't, right? Did you ever find that some of the language barrier was a disadvantage in terms of information? Like, the people they have many ideas?
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you can only speak one language, then you're for sure like behind the curve. There's a lot less options, right, of what you can do. There's a lot less content you can actually watch. A lot less stuff. I don't know. You can watch someone stream in English, and you're not going to send anything, right? Or you can only watch people that speak the same language as you. So it limits the amount of information you can process for sure. I think it's something that's helped me a lot, improve as a player. Like, I talk to anybody. Most people just speak English, and it just helps a lot with the learning curve.
On that note, one of my favorite stories is that a long time ago when Beast Coast when Beast Coast started becoming international, they made an alliance with Russians, the Russian players, and the joke was that neither of them understand English, for they should help each other out. And ever since Athletic Kid and Hector have actually replays and each other and stuff with their quote unquote English as much as they can, right? So a lot of the regions have become more international, and we're so that Dota. Bowie, my God. What the llamas say about this? What do you think about this?
What do you mean?
What would they these plays? Do you think the llamas would approve of the ones behind you? They're proud of how Peruvian Dota has become.
I was trying really hard to actually take this seriously. Yeah, I mean, I think they're fine. I'm surprised that I was looking at Vitaly's face. He doesn't strike me as a Broodmother player. He seems like a cool guy.
Nice guy.
Yeah, like I was like, wow, is this the guy actually spamming Broodmother in pubs? But I'm happy that they won. I think they're looking pretty good, and we might see the beginning of their chance. Biscos maybe drops the game. As I said, and I'm still preaching this. I feel like Thunder Awaken is going to 2-0 Biscos.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't hope you're right. I don't really care, Bully, but it'd be nice if you were right. And I get you, by the way. Today I was playing Ranked, and I was playing Venomancer offlane, and someone recognized me, and they were like, "Oh, I love your cast." And then I picked Veno, and they go, I used to respect you, Abo. And that was it. He didn't speak to me the whole other game. I think he muted me as well. So, I understand. That's what you feel for Vitaly now, right? You look at him, you're like, but he plays Broodmother, and then you think of him a little bit less, right, Bowie?
At least it was not Enchantress, Avo. So I do respect you a little bit more, actually, even though it was Venomous.
What is that, man? Really unfair diss. Anyway, since we have to cover a little bit of time as the next match begins, you guys should stay tuned, by the way. Beast Coast and Infamous will be playing next. It's a very exciting... Are you guys my panel for next one, by the way?
I'm not.
I'm on the panel.
Leather's just
I'm always here,
flexing
bro.
on you. All right, Bowie. Since you're not on the panel, here's my favorite llama story for you. That's a real story. I'm not making this up, by the way.
Okay.
So there's a true story in Peru. In Peru, if you don't know, in Spanish, llama, right, is spelled Llama, right? Llama, right?
Yeah.
And it also means flame. Okay. Anyway, so a long time ago, around the 1800s, there's a popular plaza in Peru, and they asked this architect, and they were like, they wanted to make a statue for the plaza, and they asked the architect, "Hey, could you make me a statue of what's her name, Athenia, the Greek goddess, right, with a llama on her head, with a flame on her head?" And the architect understood. Oh, of course, it means a llama. So there's a statue in a plaza in Lima where you can find where there's this Greek goddess with a llama sitting on top of her head, perched, and you can still find it today as well. It's still alive, just because the architect misunderstood the two words. That's a true story.
I will Google that, and if you're lying, I will say I will tell the world.
I'm not. It's actually my favorite. The best part is that the governor of Peru did not check until like 10 years later. His mistake, and then it was too late to change, right? Because the architect had left, he had taken the money, he wasn't even in the country anymore, and that's the story of the llama. There you go, Bowie.
The first memer, the first South American memer.
Yeah, right. At the 1800s, true architect memes. Anyway, Bowie, I'm not gonna miss you. Let's go next match. Sad to have our deal. Anything you'd like to say, Bowie, about the next match, since you don't get to talk about it?
I guess.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's take a small break, or rather large break, and then we wait for Beast Coast versus Infamous. Very exciting matchup. A bit more even than this one. We'll see what happens. See you soon.